This podcast is part of the Red 5 Network. For more Red 5 Network podcasts, visit red5network.com.
Hello there. Hello there. Hello there. Hello there. Hello there. Hello there. Another happy landing.
What's up, everybody? I'm Big Lovin, and this is DellaSnooch. Welcome to the Escape Pod, episode 68. How to make a podcast.
Like we know.
No, I don't think we do. But we're going to learn today.
We got to learn stuff today.
We're going to learn things today.
This might be the most learny episode of the Escape Pod since we started.
Yes. So get out your notepads. Get your pens ready.
Or middle fingers if you just don't care.
Yeah, if you just don't care, wave your middle fingers like you just don't care.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly.
Put them in the air and wave them.
Yeah.
Like you just don't care.
Right.
Fuck off. Nobody likes you right now.
Nobody ever does.
Well, you know, if you would get your shit together, that would reflect better on me.
People come here to watch you. They don't come here to watch you.
Well, people come here for the pre-suite.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
There's tons of pre-suite.
Every time he shows up, the whole front row gets pregnant.
It's true. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how we got there.
We always go somewhere.
Yeah, sometimes.
So, big news coming up this weekend, Scarif Con in Chicago.
Yes, dude. I'm super excited about that.
Absolutely.
July 10th from 12 to 4 at Alley Cat Comics.
Yep.
I am definitely stoked on that, bro.
Dominic Pace is going to be there.
Dominic Pace. He played the Gecko on our Bounty Hunter Gecko, not the Gecko,
right.
On The Mandalorian Season 1.
If you are anywhere near Chicagoland, make sure that you swing over to Alley Cat Comics and do some patronage there.
Yeah.
Help support small business. And if you're not anywhere near there, make sure that you're going to your local comic book shop and you're buying stuff from them.
Absolutely.
Just because you can get it on Amazon doesn't mean you should.
No.
And I'm guilty of that myself.
Oh, I'm 100%. But I try to strictly buy all my comic books at Nostalgic Inc. If they don't have them, I will tend to go to Amazon because I can get it a lot faster. But I've done that before. I'm not going to lie to you. I've done that before.
I usually try and ask the guys, hey, can you get your hands on this?
Yeah.
For, regular cost or whatever.
Yeah.
And if they can, then I'll wait.
I've only done it one time outside of Nostalgia Inc. And that was to get the that Spider-Man graphic novel.
Yep.
So, but I felt for some reason it being a graphic novel and not the comics themselves, it felt okay to do to me. I don't know. I'm just justifying it.
No, that's fair. And if you don't have a comic book shop in your region and you don't know anybody who runs one, Nostalgia Inc. in Jackson, Michigan does do internet orders.
Yes, they do.
So you can look them up on the net. And you can order right from them.
Yes, you get that pure stuff.
You get that pure stuff, like
China Colombian. White. Oh, China White. Okay, yeah, you're getting all the good stuff right there.
Getting the goodies. So what have you been up to this week, man?
4-day weekend.
4-day.
It was a 4-day work week into a 4-day weekend. Back out to a 4-day work week.
Yeah.
Going into a 2-day weekend, which is capped off by ScareCon.
Right.
So that's going to be dope.
Yep.
But as far as the little girls, the 3 little girls went up north with grandma. So it's just me, Nicole, and grandpa at the house. And not really. I've been trying to pick up the bedroom, which badly needs it, but that's getting sidetracked by I'm running, Disney Plus Clone Wars or Rebels in the background, and I'll just stop.
Oh yeah. That's how that happens.
Yeah, did a little bit of laundry this weekend. Nothing to brag about, but as a man, I will brag about it.
Nice.
And then I went to your 4th of July shindig on the 3rd. It was fantastic.
It was a good time.
I had a lot of fun. Yeah. The boy had a lot of fun. We dominated in some cornhole. He got mad at me because every time in cornhole, when we were playing on the same side, he would throw one in. I would throw one in every time he did, but I wouldn't do anything until he did something.
Right.
He was like, "Really? That's how you gotta do me, old man?" I was like, "That's the game, kid.
Yeah.
That's the fucking game."
Dems the breaks.
Hell yeah. Hey man, shout out this chat, bro.
Oh yeah, seriously. We got Ro from the Red 5 Network in the chat. Eric Williams, Lunar Girl, Backyard TARDIS, Jess, Ashley and Brandy, Lunar Girl, Mark Chafin. Did I already say Eric? Eric Williams?
Yes, you did. What up, Dub?
Dragon Buddy, Old Man
Dragon
Johnson,
Old man.
Lunar Girl,
Luna girl.
Josh Gutierrez, Hector Rivera.
What up, Hector? What up, Ghost Pepper?
I think that's about the whole crew for right now.
You said Ashley and Brandy?
I did.
You did
I
say
did.
that. I'm behind. I'm trying to read for myself.
Well, other than partying 3 days in a row.
That's for Dub.
Yeah.
That's for Dub.
He does like that shirt.
Yeah.
He
started singing it to me at work. And then I started singing it. And then he started singing it. And then I started singing it. And then we parted ways.
I like it. I said Lunar Girl twice.
Nice. Well, sometimes she's doubly special.
She is. She's a hell of a girl.
Dude, Jen says she got passed over.
No.
I don't believe that.
I don't think that happened.
That didn't happen.
Maybe the new best friends got mixed up.
Yeah.
And I actually said one of each, and they just heard Lunar Girl twice.
Maybe that's what happened, dude.
The good thing is this isn't being recorded, so no one will ever know.
Nobody will ever find out because this is being recorded. Ever will this be found out? It's a mystery. We might have to get Scooby-Doo.
I hope we don't.
I would like to meet Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, so I partied for about 3 days straight. I made it to the gym twice this weekend. I currently feel like dog shit.
Yes, that's fantastic.
But
you made it to the gym, though.
Yeah, well, you got to do what you got to do. But
I mean, even though you're feeling like shit, you're partying it up all week, you still did it. You're like one of those assholes in the gym on a cruise. Yeah. I don't like you. Why are you not enjoying the cruise?
Well, that's what's going to happen Sunday morning in Chicago, too. I'm going to go down and do my cardio.
I'm going to eat a donut.
No matter, I feel like hell.
I'm going to eat a donut.
All right, so we got people popping in the wings. Let's get through our general rigmarole.
Yeah, the rigmarole.
You can find us as always on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and all your favorite podcasting apps like iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, Audible, and Google Play. And check out the Red 5 Network for all kinds of excellent podcasts. Like this week, I listened to Salty Nerd podcast talk about the new F9 film.
That'll be the Fast and Furious 9.
Yeah,
for those who are not in the know.
They called it F-Fine.
F-Fine.
Like, how was it?
Fine. Yeah.
And Wookiee Radio did a show where they covered all kinds of cool stuff, like what was going on in Star Wars canon right now, and all the new Star Wars Legos back.
I listened to Ashley and Brandy today. I caught up on their new stuff. I heard your phone call, bro.
Did you?
You didn't tell me you did that.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've been thinking about doing that. I was going to think of a way we could do it together, but no, you went ahead and do it. So I'm going to do one on my own myself.
Yeah,
that was fantastical, though. So I listened to Ashley and Brandy. They talked about Solo, and they talked about, what episode were they on? I know they're behind, but, well, at least per the podcast being released, it's behind. So I can't remember what episode they're on. I think it was 4.
What's 4?
Episode 4.
Oh, I think that did you listen to the Solo one?
Yeah, it's the same episode.
Oh, is it?
It's
okay.
They talk about Solo first, and then I think they talked about Solo first.
Roger,
whatever.
I've got that.
Anyways, it's a good episode.
And there's a new episode of Force Losers I got to catch up on.
Yeah. Yes.
Also popping into the chat. Swede Studios is coming in, and
what's up,
Keith Lehman is joining the chat.
Oh, fucking Keith. He said he's gonna take notes.
Is he?
I hope he's fucking got his pen and pad. That'd be fucking awesome. As Keith would.
Right.
As Keith would. If you're listening to this as an audio podcast, please consider joining us live on Wednesday nights at YouTube, on YouTube, at youtube.com. /C/ATSW the escape pod. I stumbled over my merds.
You know this is episode 68, right?
I stumbled over my merds.
Please join us at patreon.com. Search ATSW The Escape Pod in the search creator bar to support the show and get in on the exclusive escape crate.
Please visit our store on tpublic.com. Search ATSW The Escape Pod and make sure you scroll down and look at all the random goodies like coffee mugs, stickers, and tote bags. In addition to sweet t-shirts and hoodies. Good Lord, I can't speak.
In addition to teat sweets.
Teat sweets are delicious.
That sounds like
Have you ever had a teat sweet?
It sounds like something you pick up at a strip club.
Oh my God, it's a teat sweet. It sounds like it would involve cocaine and Hooters.
Yeah, I'll take $50 in ones and 5 tickets for the teat sweet.
Oh God, I'm having a great time. Whee!
Oh, shout out time, buddy.
Yeah, hell yeah. First and foremost, always got to give a shout out to the Sidebar Cantina. That is the mothership. That is David Jason. That is the New Jersey Delphians. That is the homies. They are doing their thing. They are on a little bit of a vacations right now, so they'll be tuning back in next Monday at 5. I don't remember what they're talking about, but they're talking about shit.
They're talking about stuff.
It was music for the 90s, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's what it is.
Sounds about right.
Luna Girl, you can correct us eventually.
Seems like I had to submit some power ballad stuff from the 90s.
I think I did some hip hop anonymous.
Hip hop hippopotamus.
Hip hop anonymous. This is bullshit. Why does he get all the easy ones? Next, check out Used and Abused with Kim and Scott doing their thing, doing their 2 first shows on Tuesdays at like 5 in the fucking morning. And then at most of the time, 6, 7 in the evening? 6, 5, 6, 7, 5. Between the 5 and 7 o'clock.
Seems
hour.
like they book in their day.
Yeah. They're like, we're going to go 5 and 5. They're doing things. They're doing things. Next, check out Big Swede for Big Swede's Excellent Adventure and Tactical Swede and Swede Reacts on YouTube. And don't forget Super Swede's Pre-Swede Band, which is pretty dope. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
They're doing all kinds of, there's the Pre-Swede Ballad.
It's all cover music. It covers your face.
It just, it covers your ears. It gets in your ear holes. It just gets all over the place.
Oh, now I need a Q-tip.
That's gross.
Patreon shout outs. Scott and Kim Rasmussen, Todd Lovin, Jen and Jess Bolt, Big Swede, Lunar Girl, Dragon Buddy, Richie the King Armbruster, Kristen Roscom, Old Man Johnson, Backyard TARDIS, Eric W. Williams, Philly Dave Martin, and as always, Nostalgia Inc. sponsors the Escape Crate. And it is time to get into what we came here for.
Yep.
First,
so if you're here for all the fun shit, get out now.
Yeah.
If you're here to learn some things, now's where you stay.
All right. I'm going to bring in Ro from the Scarif Scuttlebutt podcast. Hey, how you doing, buddy?
What's up, everybody?
How's it going, man?
How's it going? Can't wait to finally get to see you guys in person on Saturday. It's going to be freaking awesome.
Yeah. That's gonna. I'm so stoked on it. We're really looking forward to it. It feels like it's tomorrow almost, but it's not.
Yep. Couple more days.
Couple more days.
We got Charles from Conversations in the chat. How we doing?
Yo!
Hey.
How's it going, man?
Fantastic. It is great to be on with you guys. And Ro, how you doing, man?
What's up, Charlie?
Charlie,
oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Andrew from the Science
Haven't heard that in a while.
podcast is in the chat. Hey, what's going on, buddy? Why is Andrew not on the show?
You know, he's busy. He's doing things. I just want to say hello to everybody that's saying hello to me in the chat. Backyard TARDIS, Mark, everybody down there. Yeah. Hi, everybody.
Cool. Well, we might as well get started. I don't know who's going to pop in later, but there's no reason why we can't get rolling. So
it's funny because we have Science Fictionary in the chat. We also have, didn't I see Ashley?
Yep, Ashley and Brandy. Backyard TARDIS is in the chat. He's got his own show.
Come on, man.
Big Swede's in the chat. He does his own show.
Let's get everybody in here.
I spent a half an hour powdering my forehead for this show.
I can tell. I can tell.
Really?
Yeah. You're less shiny.
Thank you. I should wear a cap more often.
You got to love that visual medium.
Totally.
Give me just a second. I think I'm gonna swap my windows here.
Swap them, baby.
Because I think it'll just be easier for me and Brady to follow if I do them the other way. Yeah.
Awesome.
Bum, bum, bum.
Okay. Does that work better for you?
Yes, works a lot better. Thank you.
Okay, so the general school of thought when you start something like what we're doing is that you decide what kind of what's going to be the topic of your show. So how did you guys approach finding a topic? Did you narrow your topics down? Did you have to expand what you started with?
So one of the things that when Brad and I started back in 2019, so even before then, I wanted to do a Star Wars podcast, but I wanted to do it drunk. But I think that probably would have caused a lot more scuttlebutt, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
So Brad and I, we were actually talking beforehand, before we started this, and I met him on the internet, stranger danger, but I met him on the internet. We were talking about JFK and stuff like that, but then we started to find out that we both like Star Wars. We share, our birth dates are like really close together. I think he's 5 and I'm 4. Yeah, so we said, hey, let's start a Star Wars podcast because we both like Star Wars, and I've always wanted to do that, obviously. And it was on the heels of Star Wars Celebration in Chicago, so it kind of made it easy for us. Like I said, it's something that we always wanted to do, and I think, obviously we have gone through some rebranding, but one of the things that we wanted to do is just talk about Star Wars. So I always tell people, find a passion, find what you like to share with an audience. And don't worry about, getting, 1,000 followers on day one, because obviously that's not possible. But just do something that's comfortable for you to talk about, especially with no notes. Something that you're passionate about, and something that let's see, what is Salty Nerd Podcast? Row they drink to get Vader to contribute. Yeah. But yeah, just do something that you enjoy. And I think, I'm sure we'll talk about audience shares later. Do something that you enjoy, and it becomes infectious. And I'm sure everybody will share that. People will come to you. The audience will find your show, and obviously, we'll get into marketing and talking about it and connecting a little bit more later on. But that's how we started. Going on 3 years, and it's just been a lot of fun. And I think, if you ever get to a point when it's not fun, you might want to, pack it up. But to me, it's still fantastic meeting you guys, starting Red 5. This community has been nothing short of amazing connection with all of our Red Fivers, and even friends of Red 5. Like, we've got Nicole, we've got Nick, Backyard TARDIS. I mean, everybody that supports the network, and everybody within the network, and really just all the other pods that have been fantastic. So it seems like we're kind of living by that MO. Just enjoy what you do. And people will tell. People are able to tell, through the microphone, through the audio only, that you're enjoying the topic. So that definitely helps.
Oh, yeah.
Andrew, were you up on what the question was?
Yeah, more or less. But I mean, kind of echoing what Ro's saying. I mean, like, we started doing this show. I mean, it was for us. I went to my degrees in art and photography, and I like to do creative things just to create. And my job doesn't really allow me to do that. And so one of the things me and some of my friends and my brother we would get on the phone and we would talk for hours about Star Wars or whatever movie was coming out. And I was finally like, at some point, after we went to kind of, again, echoing Row, after they started after Celebration Chicago, we started putting things in motion after Celebration Orlando.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And so we did it for us. It was never about, doing something. Sure, I'd love to have more listeners, but it was always about doing something for us that we enjoyed and we enjoyed talking about and just sharing it with other people and trying to find a like-minded community. And I think that if my goals were to be part of a community and to make a podcast about things I love, I've accomplished that. If I stop doing it tomorrow, I can walk away feeling like I did exactly what I set out to do.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. What about you, Charles?
Well, for Pat and I, it was an extension of what we were already doing. And, our origin story really does start with our wives who, to their chagrin or to their benefit, was, hey, you guys are having a great time with this. Why don't you take this and record it like away from us, like over there, like far away from us? And, but the enjoyment and the love that we had for it and the passion, really, that's really what comes down to it, is that you have a conversation that we're already having, whether it's a deep dive on a character or a story arc. You go out there and you just talk about it. We're having a bourbon or a whiskey or a beer, whatever it is, and just chilling really on a veranda or on at the house or on a couch. We just happen to put mics on and recording it, and that's where it comes down to. It's that casual conversation that both Andrew and Ro were talking about, and you guys as well. We're just talking Star Wars, and if they find it interesting from a perspective of, yeah, we like Star Wars, but that they're not huge fans, and we're funny or we're taking funny perspectives of it, if that works for us, just record it, see what happens. And we started that. We knew that we were going to Celebration Chicago, and it's our biggest regret that we didn't meet some of the vast amount of Red 5 Network members at Chicago. We were there.
Everybody was there.
Hindsight,
we were there.
hindsight being what it is.
It's crazy to think about who we missed when we were there. We were there for all 5 days, walking around like two idiots in cosplay every day, and a gloriously wonderful experience. But we started recording late, probably that December before Celebration. And we had some things in the can, and we started releasing them in late January, early February, just so we had some sort of traction for it. But it was about just putting our own everyday conversations recorded on a audio format, and whoever would listen. But we were just having fun with it.
Nice. We kind of started the same way. We were friends from work. We would occasionally chat, but we were a little far apart. We had a mutual friend that passed away, so then we got closer. And then we started listening to another podcast together. And then when they had their 100th episode, we went and we were on their show. And we both were like, oh, we like this. This is good. And we decided we had a few things we wanted to talk about.
Right.
And
I remember going up to him. I'm like, dude, I want to start a podcast. And it was almost no hesitation. He's like, yeah, I'm in. And it almost feels like it was that easy. It sounds like it was that easy. Felt like it was that easy. That's what it was. He was like, yeah, I'm in. It's like, what do you want to talk about? And I'm like, let's figure that out. And we've been figuring it out ever since.
It's like crack, man.
It really is. It really is.
All right. So my next question is, how flexible are you on the topics of your show? Are you religious about sticking to your topic that you picked, or do you leave room to go off on tangents?
Well, for Scarif, we were talking Star Wars deep dives for about 2 years. And, after Mr. Techie's rebranding for the fourth time on the Red 5 Network, we decided perhaps maybe we should do some rebranding too. But I think at the time, everybody was doing rebranding. We have from a certain point of view, started to do a little different things than just Star Wars. And they are a podcast that started, interestingly enough, after The Last Jedi. One of them really liked it and one of them didn't. So they got together, and started this podcast, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I like that. That's cool.
So Brad and I decided, we are geeks, not just of Star Wars. We love fantasy and Lord of the Rings and Star Trek and Star Wars, obviously, and the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So we're kind of like, complete geeks, from every aspect. So we decided to kind of rebrand Scare Scuttlebutt. I didn't want to change the name because we had already, used the name, for the better part of 2 years, and we had this recognition. So we kept it, but we rebranded kind of our internal, workings and stuff like that. So as far as like religiously sticking to something, at this point, no. Obviously we talk about Star Wars from time to time, but there's other stuff that we talk about. We have a series of shorter than usual shows called Quick Cuts, where we take 3 topics, and they're basically just 3 different, a mishmash of 3 different ideas, and that's where ideas like that kind of I think help you freshen your conversation and help your audience kind of rediscover or really be excited about what you have to say, because I think if we kept doing Star Wars, obviously there is a built-in audience that way, but the more you branch out, I think the better the results will be.
You mispronounced conversations, by the way. Just saying.
I'm sure I didn't.
For Pat and I, we went into this endeavor as a Star Wars podcast for not for better for worse, but we understood where we were at the time. We attended, Celebrations Chicago, as we talked about, just after the divisiveness that the fandom endured through The Last Jedi. And it was, first of all, wonderful experience. There was not one hint of negativity. It was about acceptance. It was about opinions. It was about open dialogue, nothing like you see on social media. So if you think that social media is the rule or the golden standard for what Star Wars fans are about, it's not. Because once you get in person, people see you and feel you and understand what you're feeling, and it's a completely different experience. So it was, so it was, for that aspect, it was wonderful that we could see that as a movie itself. Okay, we understand that it's, some people like it, some people don't like it, but in general, the fandom, it's Star Wars, so we all love it. And The Rise of Skywalker had a huge amount of excitement for it, and seeing Palpatine on stage was phenomenal. So that was great. So it re-energized our love for Star Wars. And both of us, The Mandalorian, we weren't, Boba Fett, for both Pat and I, never was a popular character. Whatever. He died like a punk in The Jedi, and whatever. He was cool. He had a cool armor, but never was he either of our top favorite characters until The Mandalorian. So The Mandalorian reestablished him as a fantastic character. So that's a great thing that's happened for us. But all in all, the conversations that we have every day are all about Star Wars. However, we have Banter Fodder, which is one of our sort of subsets of shows that we talk still nerd and geek that may sort of extend outside of Star Wars, but we have beyond just the Red 5 network and on all our fantastic members, Andrew and Ro and Force of Light and Andrew and Adam and Josh and all these different podcasts that we've spoken to. We will go on with their shows, especially those that are beyond Star Wars centric, and speak to other franchises that we love. And obviously we're nerds and we love all these different franchises. We'll be able to expand our interest level and our discussions beyond just Star Wars. And that's when we expand beyond Star Wars for us.
Nice. Andrew?
Yeah, if you've ever listened to our show, you know that our show pretty much exists in the realm of tangents. We start off with a general idea, and I think it's partially because we kind of have a revolving cast, not as much lately, but since the show started, I mean, 7 different regular cast members that have been part of the show, and it's we start off with a topic, and then we just see where it goes. Like we don't stick to anything too strict. Now we started off with Coruscant Radio Underground. It's about a year and a half older than our second show. The second show was created to redirect some of those tangents that were non-Star Wars somewhere else.
Right.
But it's our show can kind of be all over the place, but we do generally stick to a very loose timeline when we're doing a show.
Nice. And we were kind of privy to our friends having pigeonholed themselves.
Yeah.
With their show where they were feeling real constrained by it. So we picked a format that allowed us, like you, Andrew, to just go wherever we wanted to.
Yeah.
Well, we tried to ground it in the Star Wars universe that we love, because, man, Star Wars Celebration changed my life. Star Wars Celebration Chicago changed my life. It let me be who I wanted to be, just being around all the people. And like you said, Charles, the people there were fantastic. They were just the greatest people. We didn't run into a single negative person. Everybody, if you bumped somebody, it was almost like, who's going to say excuse me first? It was just the greatest atmosphere. And it was the first convention I had ever been to. And thumbs up all over. I loved it. I fell in love with it. And like I said, it for real changed my life and changed how I look at myself now.
Yep.
Deep.
Okay, so we figured out what we want to talk about and how we want to talk about it. The next big thing we got to do is we got to decide what to name our shows, right? So what was the naming process that you guys went through? Did you make lists? Did you know what you wanted to call it at the beginning? Did you float around until you landed on a name and then you named the podcast?
Yeah, for Brad and I, Brad is the king of alliterative, syllables and things like that. So he loves the repetitive consonants. So the Scarif Scuttlebutt podcast for him was something that he really loved. And obviously him being a Navy man, the term scuttlebutt means, talk around the water cooler for, I guess, I don't know, Navy guys do that? talk about stuff around the water cooler?
Sure, they do.
Hey,
I'll ask
Frank.
my son. He's going in.
Yeah. What's the scuttlebutt? But so that's kind of what we decided. It didn't take long for us, because I think we kind of took to the title of our show. But it is I just want to add, it is a quite a process, because you really have to kind of stick with one thing, especially if you're in it to kind of create a brand, or in it for the long run. You can't be switching every 10 days like Sean does.
He'll land on his feet eventually.
Eventually we'll get to know who he is, really.
We'll hear it in the chat.
He's probably going to change his name from Sean to something else.
For us, Conversations was a natural transition from what we were doing, Pat and I, on text every day. We have not trademarked, but pretty close to it, Luke Foolery and Absolutely, and we would inject Star Wars into regular words that we would use every day. And it was just our way of enjoying our passion and our fandom for Star Wars. And we would try to one-up each other, whether he's working at 2:00 in the morning at the hospital and I wake up to this kind of crap, and then I'll tag him at 12:30 in the afternoon when he's sleeping with something new. And the Conversations was a natural. Well, we had used it in text before, And when we came to it, of course, no one has used it because it's essentially a spelling mistake. And Apple reminded us several times that conversation was a spelling mistake. But it offers us the uniqueness and the sort of the niche that we have. That everything we talk about is Star Wars, and we'll shove Luke and Han and Han Jinx. We'll do whatever we need to do to hammer home the fact that we're just Star Wars nerds.
Yeah, and ours, I mean, of course, we started off as a website with the sciencefictionary.com. And that whole name it was just a simple, we just kind of wanted a little science fiction site. And there was nothing more to that one than kind of cramming together the words, fiction and dictionary into one word. And that was the website. So, of course, when we started our more general sci-fi podcast, that just seemed like the obvious way to just go and just continue using that name. And we were already kind of using that name with Coruscant Radio Underground as well in our marketing. So Coruscant Radio Underground really came out of me and Marisha driving down the road and me just spitting out names until she said, yeah, I like that one. And that's what it was. But I mean, you've got to have something. I mean, start with something you like, because if you want to, like Rose said, if you want to build a brand, you got to start with something that you're not going to decide 6 months down the road. No, it's too hokey, or it's too serious, or it doesn't fit what we're going for. And so yeah, I mean, naming your podcast is not something to overlook. It's important.
I think so. Brady named our podcast, so I'll let him tell you how he came about it.
I'd always wanted to do a podcast even before I met Don. It was just something that I wanted to do. Just started. My sister got me into podcasts, which was that Serial, and they did I can't remember Anyway, my sister got me into podcasting, and I always wanted to do a podcast of my own, and that just grew with Don, and I just had the name The Escape Pod. It was the escape from reality, and that kind of had those roots with Star Wars. I kind of felt like it could cover everything, but it was also talking to a particular thing. So maybe you got it, maybe you didn't, and that was fine with me. But I kind of the name just kind of came to me. There's nothing really more than that.
And I liked it. So he was like, how about this? And I'm like, yeah,
sold.
Yeah. I mean, you need something in your name that tells people what you are. Right. It's your first impression when people are scrolling through whatever podcatcher they're using. And, Coruscant Radio Underground seems kind of random, but to a Star Wars fan, it tells them it's a Star Wars show.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. People are still wondering what our show is about, but the SW in the middle sort of helps.
Definitely. And that Radio Underground name hits a thing that I remember. Andrew, I think you're a bit younger than I am, but Ro and Charles are probably real close to my age. You remember pirate radios?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
And like movies like Pump Up the Volume were real big back in the day. Like that whole rebel radio kind of attitude, I think, exists in what we do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, don't let the gray hairs in my beard throw you off here, man. Wolfman Jack and I used to spin a really good 45.
Wolfman Jack.
Yeah.
That's a deep cut. That's a deep cut. I like it.
Wow.
What was that show that it was Dr. something?
Dr. Demento.
Dr. Demento.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's great old school radio there.
Late
And just like, I'm out.
Well, that's where Weird Al got his start, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's how I knew. That's how I knew Weird Al. That's how I know Weird Al and Dr.
That's why he started UHF. That was his UHF entry point.
Yeah.
Yep.
Here with maybe like 1994, there was somebody in our area because there's a prison in our town. Like that's kind of the big claim to fame for our town.
Yeah.
And these guys came out with Prison City Radio.
Nice.
And you could,
it's all in a name.
Yeah.
Gotta pick the right name.
Yep. You could jack into this. They were cussing and playing explicit music. It was great. Didn't take them long to catch up with them though. 3-4 months and they had them.
Nice.
Done.
Okay, so the audience or audience polls tend to imply that people like format, familiar pacing, a rhythm to the show, so to speak. How did you guys decide how to format your show? Planning your intro, moving from topic to topic. How do you close the show? That kind of thing.
So real fast, because I this can get kind of deep-winded for me because I'm a camera guy / editor by trade. So when Brad and I started our show, it's for me it was one of the things that I wanted to create something that I would love to listen to. And obviously, if you've listened to any of the Scarif shows, there's a lot of editing that goes on because I like to drop in, audio clips and sound effects and things like that kind of help break up the monotony of like just two guys talking about geek stuff. Mm-hmm. So, we and having our first show pretty much originate with interviews from Celebration Chicago really helped because it kind of broke up the monotony there too. So, I went to Celebration with a microphone. I started interviewing people and then we dropped those and that was our first show. But ever since then, there is a rhythm to editing, as any editor will tell you, in order for your audience not to get bored, for the most part. Whether it's audio clips or background music, little drop-ins here and there, for me, I think that works for me. And it also keeps me interested when I'm editing the damn thing because, you take an hour-long clip and you say, there you go. I mean, to me, it's not as adventurous as kind of like having to go into YouTube and download a clip and put it there and then ramp the audio. I just like doing all that stuff, and it is a lot more work. But I just that's the kind of style that I really go for.
Mm-hmm.
For us, when we started, Pat, he's a nurse. He works nights at a hospital, so he's like one of those frontline healthcare heroes, and that sort of defines where his availability is. And as much as we wanted to have a weekly show, we understood at the very outset that it's probably best if we look at doing a bi-weekly show. He's technologically not the same level where I'm at. I was already doing our podcast for the hospital that I work at. I work in marketing. So I was already experienced in some of the audio editing features. So I knew what was required coming into the podcast, what was going to take if we got an hour show to edit. Well, at the start, half-hour shows, probably going to take double or triple the time to cut it up and make it fun. So we knew that, okay, well, if I'm doing this alone and Pat just doesn't have the time nor the technical skill, let's do every 2 weeks. We can have a topic, we talk about it, and then we can fulfill our consistency. And that's one of the biggest things for us is that we found is that if we can hit this thing every 2 weeks, people rely or start to recognize when our cadence is. And if we can hit those marks, wonderful. We've obviously, transitioned out of that once in a while, but we started with our show being half hour, 45 minutes, but we started from day one having commercials. We would just do our typical Star Wars nerddom and just record stupid commercials in the middle of it so that we would have a break between segments. It would give us a chance to transition from one part of a show to another, and it would give us a chance to create stupidity between well, we create stupidity on both sides, but we could do commercials with stupidity, but it's also given us a chance to have interactions with other Red 5 Network members, and also outside of Red 5 Network, we can have fun with those scripts. And that was probably the biggest decision that we made, was that let's do every 2 weeks. With his schedule and my daytime schedule, we would have time to record, I would have time to edit, and I would have time to publish at a somewhat regular cadence.
Mm-hmm.
As far as our show, I mean, as far as the editing stuff, ours is a very basic show. I have really pulled my editing back. As far as I used to be way too nitpicky and spend entirely too long putting together an episode, and I started getting to the point where I didn't want to edit them anymore. And so I really quit worrying about that. Of course, we've gotten better at doing the show as well. And so you don't wind up with these big, huge gaps because you've got to stop and fix something or just because, technical difficulty or just forgetting what you're talking about and losing your place. As far as our intro, we just start with a pretty simple introduction, and we've pretty much stayed with that. It's who we are. I think you tune in, and the beginning of our show is pretty recognizable at this point. And, as far as breaking up our show in the middle, we haven't done a lot with that. We've done some things. We've had I know Ro has cut some things for us that we've run in the middle of shows, and a few other people. And it does help kind of break up the show a little bit. But also, there's some times where we just don't do that with our show. Our show is very... like I said, it's very conversational, and that's our show. It took us a little while to find it. Like, I started off and I was all gung ho and I had was writing out these really intense timelines that we were going to use while we were recording. And after about a month, the show just became a conversation. Of course, not Radio Underground even more, because most of the time it's just me and Marisha, so it's just, we talk all the time, and a lot of times the show winds up being just like our normal conversations. And so sometimes I feel like I have to be careful where I put stuff in the middle so that it doesn't break up that flow of conversation.
I will totally support Andrew in that, because we'll have a flow of conversation that makes sense, and Pat is on a tangent or I'm on a tangent, and I'm like, oh crap, 25 minutes, 30 minutes. Let's cut it here. We'll take a break, and then we'll come back to it. So it's almost forced to a certain degree, but we love what we've been able to build with our commercials in the middle, that we'll do that. Mm-hmm. But it certainly does affect the natural flow of a open-ended conversation, for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But as far as finding who we were as a podcast, when we started out our shows, of course, we started out with one show, 1 day a week. And those things could get up to 2 hours long.
Yeah.
And we really started trying to pull them back and get them between 45 minutes and an hour. Seems to really be kind of the sweet spot for holding listeners through the whole thing. And so that's probably the biggest thing that took some tweaking for us, was to learn how to get all the way around to our point through our random conversations in a shorter amount of time.
Yeah, now see, our show, we're a YouTube show,
right?
So the format of the show is kind of the bread and butter, whereas you guys are in a position where you kind of have a greater conversation, and it goes where it's going to go. We have a
he said that
predetermined destination.
He said that word wrong again.
What's that?
Conversation.
Yeah, I apologize.
Okay, you get it.
We have a predetermined destination, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And we fill the cracks with our personal color, let's say.
Yeah.
But when it started off, very much like Andrew, like, I had a super tight grip on the editing machine. I was all over, I'll take this out, I'll drop this back over here, it should have been over here. And that all stopped real fast. We just essentially wrote the show the way we wanted the show to happen. And then we more or less happened to the topic as opposed to the other way around.
Yeah. And then the topics we chose, they kind of just fell in place. What do we want to talk about? And I was like, well, kind of want to talk about movie news when it's not going to be specific to what this episode's going to be, but I'd like to bring up things that people are talking about, but I want to distinguish, what's truth from fake. So it's like, okay, let's come up with the hot sheets. And then well, let's talk about sports, but we don't want to talk about all sports because we're not a sports podcast, but want to talk about sports that I'm into. So you're going to hear about it. Ha ha ha. Like everything just kind of fell into places. So we like video games. And so we're going to talk about video games.
But not all of them.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about all of them. And there may be some that you wish we talked about a little bit longer, but tough toenails, it's our show, So the formats just kind of fell in place, but we didn't really start with a format. It was very loose, but it was tight in the editing room. And then we decided, no, let's just edit the show the way we want to run it.
Like you can shoot a movie to edit, or you can shoot the movie that you want to end up after the edit. You can do the Michael Bay style, or you can do the Kevin Smith style, and you end up with a movie just the same.
Right.
But Charles, you brought up a really interesting point. It's really important to set up the frequency that you want your followers to find you, and then live by it.
Yeah.
And if you set that too tight, space it out. If you find out you can do more, bring it in, but hit your mark, or close enough that people don't mind.
Yeah, it is. We're realistic with what we could actually pull together. Whether it's a topic, we research it, we talk about it, we record it, and then it's on my plate to edit it. But then Pat will introduce some stuff for promoting it. It comes down to what is most comfortable for the show itself to produce. We've started with a 2-week show. We've shifted. I think we started with a Monday, every 2 Mondays. And then we've slowly progressed through Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, extending it every once in a while. And then, of course, life happens where we've missed a week and we skip a week. You can't avoid that kind of stuff. And, these podcasts, for the most part, we're all in the same boat. We're all doing it for passion. And we may get to that a bit later on. But, beyond Patreon and advertisements and all this, we're all doing this because we love it. And if you can follow somewhat a regular cadence, if people love what you do, and that comes from your passion, that comes from your original concept of why you wanted to do the show in the beginning, people will stick with you and follow your cadence. And if you miss a week, you miss a week. You're still going to have those followers who are tried and true, who will find that time to fit you into their schedule. Like Rural Farm Boy is in the chat right now, and he's a fantastic supporter of not just our show, many shows, everyone who's here, and hundreds of others. They just, we just want to have a show where someone can enjoy it, and hey, if you got time to listen to it, no problem. And hey, we missed a week. It's still the fun that we have with doing it, and Pat and I are going to talk about it anyway. So as we record it, and hey, we'll get it out there, and if anybody listens to it, wonderful.
Right.
I wanted to add something, because earlier, this is great timing. Earlier, one of our friends, Sithy Minutes, the account Sithy Minutes podcast, they put out 2 tweets that basically kind of covered that, and I wanted to chime in. I'll read it. As we edit our latest episode, just a quick reminder to other artists in this space that we need to normalize release schedules and content drops that match our lifestyles. Your favorite Star Wars podcast probably isn't making money off of this, so show grace when the release date slips or folks go on break, and don't be afraid to step back when you need to. Podcast should never feel like a chore. It's a conversation between friends.
Well played.
That they obviously they bring out a very a very good point. I mean, again, we're not and sometimes I feel like we put pressure on ourselves. Like Scarif releases when we do release, usually twice a month, on Thursdays. And if we don't make it Thursday, I know like on like Wednesday night, I'm sitting there trying to get to the end of the podcast and drop an audio and try to finish it up to release on Thursday. But I think we add that pressure on ourselves to be regular. And like Sithy Minute says, we're we're not doing it to get paid. We're not doing it to, for a specific reason to get rich quick. It's a passion. It's fun. And I think we should, we ourselves should kind of probably stop putting that self-imposed pressure on having to release something, instead of, releasing something when we have something to say.
Mm-hmm.
And again, what Charles was saying, when an audience finds you, they're pretty loyal about, hitting you up when you do have something new. How many times, like you just mentioned, Rural Farm Boy's got his, and both you too, Charles, you guys have your lists and listen and share. But that self-imposed pressure, I think we should probably chillax on that as well.
Yeah, definitely. So we've talked about what we want to talk about and how we're going to talk about it. The next thing we really got to worry about is like putting a face on our show. The first thing that people see.
I know a podcast that puts his face on everything. But we won't get that today.
That's just going to be one of those silent digs, folks. So the first thing people tend to see is your cover art. So how did you guys design your cover art? Was it homegrown? Did you farm it out? How'd you go about it?
I usually, obviously being in the broadcast world, graphics is a little thing that I kind of, dabble in. So I like to look at other people's stuff and then, kind of alter our stuff with that. But I think Scarif has developed a certain style and we host on SoundCloud. So there's a different, image size for SoundCloud than there is for when you post and share on Twitter. So those images the sizes, the layouts are different, but we definitely have a style, and I love watching like other people's stuff, and I'm like, oh, I like this, I like that. I'm gonna maybe add a little bit of that. My secret is I always see these angry YouTubers that put like red arrows that point from one side to the screen to the other to attract attention to like Kathleen Kennedy with laser eyes. So I usually use like a red arrow somewhere in ours just to kind of mock the angry YouTubers.
I like it. I like it.
For us, I mean, first of all, I'd like to commend everyone who's here, Star Wars Escape Pod, Scarif, and Science Fictionary, and the Coruscant Radio Underground. You all have branding that works, and it appeals to me, and it appeals to the Star Wars community. So you guys do a great job. I think that for us, it was always about Star Wars. So our branding came about with Star Wars being the central part of our logo. It's a SW, and then we just fit our stupid word around it. And much to the chagrin of all of our T-shirt producers, they didn't like that until we found TeePublic. So they still haven't taken us down, which is wonderful. So thankful for them. But once we had that idea behind the branding, it just became, okay, well, it's Star Wars centric, and we put a conversation around conversations. It was off to the races from there, and we try to put that everywhere. But Pat is a designer by nature. He's a builder. He's a fabricator. He's a cosplayer. So he may not have the computer skills, but he has the designer skills that goes beyond the sort of the computer application. So he'll send me a sketch that is 98% of a finalized version of a digital file. I'll take it, I'll throw in my 2 cents, and then we have a digital ready production, whether it's a logo, a t-shirt, whatever it is. And so that kismet between the two of us works perfectly.
Nice.
As far as our logo, I mean, I did myself. I have a background in graphics and photography, and so if you've seen our logo, it's the ship logo that's kind of in the middle of the circle. The logo started off as the ship, and it just kind of kept growing out of that. And of course, we had to change Coruscant Radio Underground's logo a little bit when we started the second podcast, so that you could tell the two apart by looking at them. But they just came out of just me playing around in Photoshop.
Nice. Now Brady, of course, does all of ours. So.
Yeah, I have a background on screwing around with apps on phones, so I enjoy doing that. So I just I don't know where the inspiration came. I just started layering transparent images on top of each other, and then typed in the words, and we made this. And I don't know how it happened. It just happened. It was I like to screw around with apps, and that's how I do it. That's how I do a lot of the images. I just sit there and think of something that might be funny or something that might grab somebody's attention, and I know it would grab my attention, so I figured it'll grab somebody else's like-minded people's attention. So I always try to come up with at least 2 or 3 images for our artwork leading up to an episode, between each episode, so it's always different. It always sets itself apart, but I try to keep the font the same, just so it's always recognizable. You're always like, it's always the escape pod. It's always in that style of font. It's always in that style of font, just so you know. Okay, that's who it is. But
that's part of branding. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think he sells himself a little short. He's a lot more creative than the story he just told. But.
Well, and it's hard too, because we're logo whores. We have like 4. So we're awful when it comes to logos, because I get carried away, and then we had a friend of the show, they're like, hey, you should do this with Rebel helmets. You just joined Red 5. And I was like, that's an awesome idea. So I came up with the Rebel one. I was like, this is cool.
Yeah, but we always kind of live and die by this one.
Because we're Empire at heart.
Right.
Absolutely. # long live the Empire. Charles, I think I have one of Pat's, one of your old ideas here.
Oh boy.
I think that's Darth Vader, maybe. I think that's a rough sketch, right? Yeah.
Oh my god.
But
it's somewhere between Darth Vader and Ak.
So I'll be expecting that graphic soon.
I love that movie.
Oh my god, it's a classic. Wow.
Brady just kind of touched on the next question just a bit. Okay. Do you guys keep the same artwork in place, or do you change it sometimes? And if so, when and why?
I think for the logos, it should stay kind of the same, because obviously that's your branding. But all the ancillary stuff, like the episode, the subsequent episodes, all that stuff gets changed. But I'm the second iteration of the Scare Scuttlebutt podcast. I'm really struggling with the blue circle. I want to.
It's fantastic. Don't struggle. It's fantastic.
Okay, and that's Brad said that, right? Like in my brain, it's like. I want to change it, but I guess I won't.
No.
And T Public finally killed our main Shore Trooper logo. Yeah, finally. And I think I discovered a secret. Don't tag your stuff with Star Wars.
No. Absolutely.
Yeah. Don't do it, because they'll find it.
No, they
got little minions, little lawyer minions going through T Public. Like,
yeah, they hadn't come for our Naya Num shirt yet, but they'll find it eventually.
I like that there's no harm, no foul about it, though. You can put it up there. They'll just kill it someday. They don't even bother coming to talk to you. They're just like,
right.
Yeah.
For us, for episode artwork, or, for show artwork, if people follow our account on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, they know what they're getting, whether it's going to be Black Series figures or, stupidity throughout the week. But once it comes to the episode artwork, we pretty much tend to stay within the topic that we're talking about. And that's a big distinction too. We go back to what you guys were talking about before, whether it's news and topic based, whether it's going to be, if you're going to have a TV show stuff, if for us, we decided that we're going to talk about a topic and let it be, evergreen with it, what it's going to be for each show. So we have a topic, we talk about it, we research it, we put it out there. So for us, it's really a key image. We put it out there. If we put the logo on it, sometimes we don't, sometimes we do, depending on what the subject is going to be. for us, it seems more of, if you're following us, you know what you're going to expect, and we're just trying to get across what we're talking about this week or every 2 weeks. Well, if we're talking about the Tarkin, or if it's going to be Ralph McQuarrie, we put out a key image that gets across the episode idea, and then you move on from it. And if you listen, you listen. If you don't, you don't. But 2 or 3 times within the week, you're going to have other stupidity and other Star Wars stuff that we love to talk about that's going to keep you interested, hopefully.
What about the laser eyes?
Good job.
As far as our logos go, I mean, they stay pretty consistent. I recently went back. When I did our original logo, I did not save all the shape files I created. And so I ended up, and things got, at some point it got messed up. It kind of, the version we were working with was a little bit grainy. It wasn't created as big as I wanted it to be. And so I did go back and redo the whole logo from scratch recently. So it does look a little different, but it's still very recognizable as the same logo. I stamp the logo on everything. It stays the same. I stamp it on everything we do. And the only thing I do sometimes is I color shift it sometimes to fit better, to look better on whatever I'm putting it on. But the look stays the same.
Do you swap our logos out? You pretty much always have our base logo on stuff, right?
Yeah, there's always a one logo or another within our image. I always try to put that in there so people see it, and then the background image will be different. But
we'll throw the Red 5 logo on there.
We'll throw the Red 5 logo in the corner, let everybody know about that. And but for the most part, it doesn't really change.
Yeah. I want to circle back real quick. Nick brings up an interesting thing in the chat.
Yes.
How do you guys decide what positivity level you want to set for your show? As far as, do you stay positive? Do you want to talk about negative things? Do you let your show go to the dark side? Because we're positive guys. If we don't like something, for the most part, we're not going to talk about it. We're just going to be like, not one for me, and we move on.
Yeah.
Where are you guys at?
I have a positivity meter. That's positive. All right. Move on. It's funny for Scarif. When we started, people were still talking about The Last Jedi. And unfortunately, Brad and I are not fans of The Last Jedi. We kind of injected some of that snark into some of our very early shows. That actually got us some attention from who I'm speaking about back in the I Hate the Last Jedi camp, which we just talked about it, but for the most part, we're pretty respectful as far as different opinions about films and things like that. Obviously, there are people that love The Last Jedi, but we tend to, at least if somebody asks us on a platform like this or on Twitter, we'll definitely, give our opinions, but we'll defend anybody that has a different opinion than us, which we've done. But that is like you guys. We love what we love, and we'll talk about it. If we're not gonna talk about something that we really don't like, because who wants to listen to 50 minutes of shitting on something? I don't. I'd rather keep the passion up, keep the interest up, and be more. I don't want to say inclusive, but be more accepting of the audience that is listening to Scarif. In order for them to, just really, geek out with us. And I think that's the goal, to express a level of excitement over a property, over an IP that we share with not only our listeners, our followers, but the community as a whole. And if somebody wants to talk Last Jedi, we'll talk about it. But or any other things that we don't like, and we've said that we don't like this and we don't like that, and we've got a new co-host with Chantel that is definitely mouthy, and opinionated,
Passionate.
yeah,
Passionate.
There you go. There you go.
Mouthy.
But that's one of the things that I love about the community as a whole, especially you Red Fivers. I love that you guys are passionate about whatever it is that you talk about, and I think that's what makes it fun. Again, I don't think anybody wants to listen to 50 minutes of people trash talking. It's not healthy for one, but it's not fun. And I think all of us want our own products to be fun and engaging and attract as many people as we can. And we've been called the Switzerland of Star Wars fans. I mean, we've got followers from all over, every camp. But as long as you're respectful to us and some of our followers, then we'll do the same.
For Pat and I, we look at content as a whole. Where can you find something that you enjoy within a movie? And I'll echo what Ro was talking about, The Last Jedi. There was aspects of that movie that I enjoyed that Pat didn't, and vice versa, whether it's through that movie or through the entire sequel trilogy. But there's something within Star Wars that you can relate to. And if you can relate to that and talk about that and have enjoyment out of that, I think you'll connect to people on a certain level that, I didn't like that part, but I like this part. And as a whole, it's Star Wars. We can enjoy that. And it's not a hard thing to do, but it's not an easy thing to do either. And we had an episode recently where we talked about the Quarren and the Mon Cala. And Pat was always about the Quarren, and I was always about the Mon Cala. And we went through an entire episode about, well, what's behind that? Is it a us versus them aspect? And it's not really. It's about, what do you find that you enjoy about a certain aspect of Star Wars? And if you are able to put aside differences, and that's what I love about the Red 5 Network, is that you can express your opinions and express your loves of Star Wars and not be ostracized, not be shunned aside. Hey, you know what? You like Last Jedi? Wonderful. You hate The Force Awakens, or you hate the sequel trilogy or the prequel? Doesn't matter. We have the freedom to enjoy Star Wars as we enjoy it, and still see the entire universe together as a wonderful storytelling device. And we can all come together and watch The Mandalorian or whatever it's going to be. It's a family approach to a story that we all know and love.
Yeah, I mean, for us, whether it's Star Wars or whether it's just some of our other science fiction stuff, we try to talk mostly about things we love. Now, in doing that, especially, we talk about new things, new episodes, new movies. Sometimes it's going to be things you don't like, and our policy has always been, you're getting us. Like, if we don't like it, we're going to tell you. But we're not going to spend a lot of time on it. Generally speaking, if we don't like it, we'll tell you, and then we're going to move on. Mm-hmm. And talk about, or we're going to find something about it that we do like. There have been times where I felt like something went so far across the line that, yes, I've done entire episodes that were, probably on the negative, would be considered on the negative side. But we don't do that as a whole. Like, we want to talk about things that we love. We want to talk about things we're excited about. That's why we started the show. And being mad all the time is exhausting.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's true.
Yep,
True.
definitely.
But again, like we do this show for us.
Yeah.
And so it's no fun to sit around with your friends and just talk about what you hate.
Right, exactly.
Right.
We should all try that one day, just see how it goes.
Yeah. And we've done things. I mean, we've had episodes that were, like I said, we're kind of leaned more towards being negative, but we also have always been respectful of other people's opinion, which has allowed us to have people on our show that we disagree with entirely. Mm-hmm. And have good conversations. It allows us to have people like E.K. Johnston on our podcast, so that, who I don't agree with a lot of what E.K. Johnston says, but we had a good time, spent an hour geeking out about Star Wars.
Right.
And so I think a lot of times it's more about finding some common ground in the things you love. And that's what you see when you go to Celebration. Yeah. It's like, sure, those negative people are there. But one, things that get said online, people won't say to somebody's face. Yes. But secondly, when you're there and you're in the middle of it, you find that common ground. You're standing there in a room full of Star Wars, a massive room full of Star Wars, and there's nothing to do there but find common ground in the things that you're enjoying.
Yep. The only thing I'll add to any of that is you can build a podcast on all kinds of negative stuff. You can build a huge following, but the second you give up on that anger and vitriol and all of that energy you're dumping into that, you'll find your fan base will either attack you or they'll just go away.
Yeah.
That doesn't keep people around. That just gets people there that want to be angry with you in the moment.
No, you create a monster that will eventually eat you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that, you know, that's the play on words with the title too. Like, we're the escape pod. Like, I want you to forget about all your BS that's gone on in your life today or for the last week and listen to us and just escape. We're going to tell you about everything that's fun and exciting, and we're going to talk about this subject or this subject, and we're going to have a good time, and you're going to forget about all that. You know what I mean? That's what we're all about.
At least for a little while.
At least for an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Yeah, Lunar Girl has a great point in the chat. She says, as a pod chat person, I get excited about a show if I see the hosts are excited. And that's, you know, that I think that's everybody's mantra here, especially in the Red 5 network. And obviously with the other podcasters, I think it's, you know, like I said, nobody wants to hear you bitch and complain for 50 minutes.
Right.
Right. And if they do, they're not the kind of people you want to hang around with anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
So another important first impression thing is the kind of music that you incorporated into your show, whether that's the intro music, the outro music, or like Road puts in little musical clips inside. We dropped little sound bites in between switching topics that we had our fan base make for us. What kind of music do you guys use? Do you use underlayments in your shows? You know, is it segment based, sound effects?
Early on, we used all Star Wars music, either, you know, partial intros, background music. But, you know, lately, obviously, since we've been kind of branching off, we've used other properties, you know, music, Batman, Superman, whatever, other stuff. But we've been doing a couple of stock sites, and my production company subscribes to a service called Storyblocks, and we get not only music, but, you know, a lot of graphics, a lot of elements in vector form, so, you know, we're able to kind of play around with that. So Storyblocks, the audio library in Storyblocks, has been very useful to us for grabbing music, you know, our Sentry mode music, our you know, when we do the question and answer, the Q&A, the background music that goes with Sentry mode, you know, the little click clock stuff. So all that stuff we grab from Storyblocks.
Nice.
We look to Ro as our inspiration for the level of detail and audio that he does. Our most recent episode where we did some episode clips from various people who talk about Ralph McQuarrie, including himself, that was part of one of our heaviest, or one of my heaviest digital editing episodes. But beyond that, we have our little our intro, which was done by It's True All of It podcast, which is a fantastic podcast from Australia. You've got Michael and Dale who put together this little song clip for us that we use for our main show, and for our second show, the Banter Fodder, we use our original show music, which was again canned, and it was from Envato. It was just like one of our subscription features through work. It was just basic, some cool music. But once we leave the intro music, and whether it's Red 5 Network or the intro bit or the opening intro to our show, we have nothing underlaying our audio. We just go right into our spoken voice, and if there's a commercial in the middle, we'll of course put that in there. But once we leave the intro music or the outro music, we're done.
As far as ours, I mean, we run an intro song, and that's most of the stuff we do. Coruscant Radio Underground and the Padawan Report shows both use music from Gustav Holst, who wrote Mars. Wrote the planets, and that was such a huge inspiration for John Williams. It's probably he probably was the single biggest influence on John Williams' music. And so a lot of it sounds very Star Warsy, but it's not quite Star Wars, and we use a lot of that stuff. The other one we just went for on Science Fictionary. I found a guy that does his own royalty-free music page, and so we drop him a few dollars every once in a while and use some of his stuff, and that's pretty much the only place we use. I'll add a random sound clip every now and then somewhere, but Monty Python or something from the Blood and Ice Cream trilogy or something like that in there. But it's mostly just our intro music, and it's pretty standard stuff.
Our intro music, when we first started podcasting, people were helping us out. The podcast that got us started in podcasting, they were helping us out, and they found an intro music for us, and they just gave it to us and loaded the show up, and there it was. So
I still have no idea where it came from.
Yeah,
Somebody's going to sue.
Someday somebody's going to sue. But so I had to refine that. So he had it in his computer.
Yeah.
So I had to listen to because it's part Star Wars, part like hip hop and weirdness, and I had to listen to it, and I had to find it on YouTube, and I eventually found it, and he clipped it, and there's our intro music. That's how that happened.
Same thing with the outro. That's just a sound clip that I lifted out of somebody's long, music thing on YouTube somewhere. I was like, I'm going to take this 8 seconds. Sorry.
And we've since we started doing, we're on episode 68. Since we started doing intro music, we've only changed our intro music one time for Order 66 episode, and we change it right back.
Yeah.
That's the only time it's been changed.
Yep.
So we don't have much. And once again, I was searching through the YouTubes. I found this cool song that said Order 66 a lot. So I'm like, we should use this for Order 66 thing. And he's like, cool, I like it. So that's what we did.
Yeah. But like I said, we're going to get sued.
We're all going to get that sued.
Yeah, really.
We don't make any money off this show, so I don't know what they could sue us for, but they'll sue us for something.
Right.
Black Series figures and pop figures.
Yeah, they're going to take all my pops. That would make me cry.
Yeah, I would cry too.
Well, that was one of the reasons we went with Gustav Holst, because initially we were downloading a lot of our stuff on YouTube. Really, YouTube's kind of become a separate thing for us, but we're not putting our pod episodes there anymore. But initially we were, and so we used Gustav Holst because everything's in the public domain.
Nice.
And if you're looking for something to use for a podcasting, there's a lot of really cool stuff in the public domain.
Yep. And your Padawan reports, by the way, are fantastic. They're the kids' perspectives of Star Wars and the stories are top notch, because it reminds every one of us who's, older and I'm an OT lover. It immediately puts us in our perspective of, you know what? Guess what? There's a whole different perspective, and I love those episodes to the end.
It's that child's perspective that makes me think that at some point we're going to look back at the sequel trilogy through somebody else's eyes. We're going to have a completely different appreciation for it, because I personally am not super stoked about the prequels. Like, they're not my favorite, but when I listen to like our sons talk about it, they view it through a completely different lens.
Pat and I live very close to Galaxy's Edge in Orlando, and so that's a wonderful benefit. We've been there many times, and we see young boys and young girls cosplaying as Finn and as Rey, who are walking through there, who are 4, 5, and 6 years old. They don't give a crap about the OT. They don't give a crap about the prequels. They love those characters they saw on screen. They love what they see. They love the First Order. So when it comes time to them coming to the forefront of social media, whether it be podcasts or just opinions, the same way that we've seen many of our friends in podcast land who grew up watching the prequel trilogy, their voice is going to come to the forefront. On the Outer Rim, they love the prequel trilogy, so their voice is out there now. We love Jar Jar Binks. We love the Phantom Menace. So guess what? That's part of our Star Wars. And so those cycles, those generations are going to come in and out and completely change what Star Wars means to them, and therefore Star Wars in the future.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So another really important thing, getting back to actually creating a podcast, is the sound. If you don't sound at least good enough, you don't even have to worry about building an audience, because they're going to check in and they're going to check right out. So how did you guys decide on what mics to use? What do you run your sound through, and why?
Oh man, that's hard, because for me, especially because I'm like a tech nerd, and I love trying new microphones, new setups. It's like, for a while it was never like the same setup twice, because I'm always trying different things. I joked around, and I showed you guys this earlier, but this is what I took to Celebration to record interviews, and this is what I take out on the field if I ever have to record interviews. I don't use this, but I have a microphone attached to it, but for us, it's hard for me, because I like technology, I like toys, and I like kind of slipping things in every so often. We have here when I record this, and obviously we're Brad is on the East Coast, and Chantel's in Miami, so obviously we all have like different stuff, but technology has really afforded podcasters kind of a democratization of the arena. It's so easy to create a podcast now with apps like Anchor. You've got Anchor out there that basically you really don't need an investment. Anchor is free. There's all sorts of hosting areas that will allow you to record within the app. So it's probably, I want to venture to say that it's probably has never been a better time to start a podcast if you haven't, because there's just so much out there, and you can't really pinpoint and say this is the answer right here, follow these steps, because there's so much out there, whether it's hosting, microphones, recording apps, editing, all sorts of things that this little box that we're talking into has opened up a world of possibilities for a lot of people that may not have had the experience in the past. I'm an old fogey, so I worked in a TV station back in the 90s, and there used to be like 12 guys in a control room. I can do that on my phone now. So it's so amazing, and I can't wait to see what my son comes up with when he gets up and around. He's 16 and he's already doing some crazy stuff, but it's fantastic. It's wonderful. It's wonderful to see all the innovation.
When Pat and I started, we had one mic on a swing arm, and if you listen closely to our first episodes, you can hear that spring moving back and forth. So but we always believed that if the content was good, that we were talking about was engaging, that people would somehow, get over that aspect. And
no, I didn't believe that at all. I heard us the first few times. I was like, God, I don't even want to listen to us.
Same with us. We don't want to hear us either.
We started off in a bad
but we got two separate mics, and that just two cheap $30 mics into two different computers changed the world. And if you can look at one benefit of the COVID-19 pandemic and the networking and the remote learning and working, it introduced us to an entirely different level of understanding of how technology can work, and that shot our show way past into the future, because we couldn't get together, which isn't a great thing, but we had to sort of deal with what we had at the hand. It gave us a chance to understand how technology can work with limitations. And you got a half decent mic, and like I said, $30 mic set in front of your mouth, plugged into your USB port, and you go through Skype or, whether it be Skype or let's say Anchor, you've got a really decent audio level, and it doesn't take that much up and running cost to get a decent sounding episode. Then you got the editing on the other side. So it's a really accessible part. And believe me, we've done, I think, 2 or 3 episodes where we have used Anchor, like Ro was saying. You can record, you can connect each other through Anchor. It's through their platform, and it records the 2-ended audio as an audio file and is downloaded into your account. You wouldn't even know that we were actually just talking through the phone, and that there's no cost there whatsoever. And that's a fantastic way of doing it. So in a pinch, that works really well as well.
That's essentially what we're doing on StreamYard right now.
Yeah, exactly. Without video. And that's exactly it. You can get into it pretty quickly. And, Anchor has been fantastic for the amount of platforms that it pushes not only ours, but everyone else's shows through. And you can tweak and adjust that and add your own stuff into there. But it's a really great platform.
Nice.
Real fast side note, Charles, you might want to light up some more candles because you're losing your chroma key. Get out of that cave.
So the sun's set, all right? Give me a break. Here, how's this? Is that, do you see in the background? There we go. See?
There you go.
What are you guys running over there, Andrew?
We started off with this mic, one blue Spark mic back before Logitech bought them, and but actually I've been surprised. I worried when Logitech bought them, but they've continued to put out pretty good mics. We run everything through a Behringer USB board, run straight into the computer. Mm-hmm. I could run up to 6 mics on that board. But it also made it super easy to bring people in, because that's the thing. We're scattered all across the country, our group. So it makes it super easy to bring those Skype calls or whatever we're using that night directly in through the board and record directly that way. But like Charles was talking about and Ro was talking about, you don't need much of a budget to start a podcast. Like, we started on the big side, going with a board and to a $200 microphone. Now, we were passing this one microphone back and forth initially. But we started off kind of big, started with nothing to buying microphones and boards and all that. But you don't need that. Any decent computer at this point in time is going to do a decent job of recording from a USB mic.
Right.
And there's a USB mic out there for every single budget.
Well, we didn't even, we started smaller than that. We started with an iPhone.
Yep.
We used my iPhone. I think I had an iPhone X
11.
At the time. I had the iPhone X.
Okay. Yep.
We used the iPhone X to record, and that was our video, that was our audio, that was everything. And then from there, we went and we added a mic and brought that mic in front of us. And then from there, we hooked into 2 mics, correct?
Yeah, we had 2 mics, and my mom had that hand-me-down PA amp head, essentially.
Yeah,
then we ran it through a PA head.
Yeah, it was all kinds of MacGyver happened. There was duct tape. It was amazing. It was amazing.
And then I tried to get sophisticated, and I bought a soundboard off the internet, and we ran into troubles between things that were USB and XLR, and then I bought 800 things that did nothing. And ultimately, we landed where we're at now. We have a Rodecaster Pro soundboard, which we really like. They're about $650. It does almost everything we need it to do. And we've got a couple of Samson CO1 microphones that you can get on Amazon for about $80 a pop. it sound pretty doggone good.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Technology has really afforded people that want to do this, in their leisure time or even professionally, whatever. But technology is kind of cool in the podcast community because, like I said, there's all sorts of apps and technology and gadgets that everybody loves to use. So I like it.
Yep.
And we talked about Sean at Extra Techie, part of Red 5 Network at the start, and his name changes, but he's a fantastic supporter of offering free support and questions and answers who, we're all trying just to enjoy our fandom and share our views and thoughts and perspectives on whether it's Star Wars or whatever you're talking about. There are so many people like him, but obviously he's our favorite in the Red 5 Network. Ask them a question. They will answer it with you'll have your entry level, mid, and high end level price. And here's what you can do to get yourself started up in 5 minutes or a half an hour. And here's the technology you need to have done in there. It's a very supportive community. And that's one of the fantastic things that Pat and I have discovered is that once you start publishing episodes, we're part of the Red 5 Network. It's an amazing network of people and friends who we'll never forget in our lives. But it's also very supportive, and it's a wonderful thing.
Yep. You can always reach out to anybody on this panel, on Twitter, or wherever you find us. And like you say, everybody in the Red Fives be more than happy to answer questions.
Yeah.
Is anybody in the chat interested in starting a podcast, or are we just kind of like chatting amongst ourselves? I'd love to take any questions. If anybody in the chat is actually, I see a lot of people that already have podcasts.
Well, I'm trying to get Jen and Jess to start a podcast.
Nice.
They're reluctant. I know that Darius was in the chat a little earlier. Maybe he's still out there. He was working on putting one together. I really hope that he goes ahead and launches something.
Oh, he's got the perfect podcasting voice.
Yeah, he does. He's the guy that does our sports talk. Have you guys heard that clip?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Darius. He's got a fantastic voice for radio.
Because the rest of us have a face for radio.
Right.
And not a voice.
Like it.
Pat and I don't have a voice for radio either.
So I mean, there's Dragon Buddy.
Okay, cool.
is saying him and Lunar Girl might put something together.
That would be awesome.
Lunar Girl, by the way, handles all the social media for the new Red 5 podcast.
Which
the
they'll announce.
Cantina.
Which they'll announce next week.
Right, which they still haven't announced, and I've brought up twice. So she's already dabbling in the sidebar of podcasting.
Nice. Reach out to us. Yeah.
She's very active on Instagram for sure. We've noticed that for sure.
Yeah, Lunar Girl.
Yep.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We're just filling her head right up too. She's just.
And when I used to hang in your chats, I used to think she was loonier girl, like a loony girl somewhere, but she's the looniest.
The looniest.
Loonier girl. The Y throws me off. Sorry.
I love it.
Okay. The next question I've got is, as far as editing your audio and video, what kind of software are you guys running? Let people know what you're using, what it costs, what it doesn't cost.
So Scarif, because we used to run our podcasts on YouTube, so we use video editing software, Adobe Premiere, because I would edit the audio, then I would need a video channel to create a video version of the podcast, and we used to do that for the first couple of months. It just got too problematic. YouTube's algorithm started being a little wishy-washy, and we really weren't interested in having our podcast on YouTube without with this just being audio. But we use Adobe Premiere. I use Adobe Premiere for work, so it's it's easily accessible for me. So I still edit in Adobe Premiere for audio only, and And yeah, and I publish it out there in the same way. So we have the Adobe Creative Suite, which is everything. It's Photoshop, Illustrator, all those wonderful apps that Andrew, I'm sure, is familiar. Everybody's familiar with. Yes, DJ Red 4. So yeah, that's what we use.
Same for us. From day one, I had access to Adobe Edition. We had a subscription through work that I do work on personally also. So I had a sister subscription for that. It gives us all the tools that we need, and there are plenty of tools. Whether or not you use a paid subscription like Audition or Audacity, there are so many YouTube videos that will break down the specific exact thing you're looking to do. I've researched it many times, whether I want to add a droid voice to Pat's voice for a commercial, or I want to add an echo to it. There is a 4-minute video that will teach you how to use the tools that you're using to make a specific sound that you're looking for free. And so you can choose your editing source for free, and you'll find all the support you need in the community for sure.
And you can always go for Sean for echoes.
And show changes.
He'll do it for free.
Over here, I mean, I don't do much as far as Adobe. I mean, you're talking the best when you're talking about Adobe, but you're also talking at a pretty high price point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Especially for the whole thing. I mean, I just have Lightroom and Photoshop. So we do everything here on Audacity as far as audio, and we use Cyberlink's Power Director 365 for our video. And Power Director is a really, really fantastic video software, can be had for under $100. And Audacity is 100% free, and it is a fantastic piece of software.
It's pretty powerful for it being free, and it's been
Yeah.
free for quite a number of years already.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up in the kind of I've said before, my grandfather was a computer science teacher. I grew up with a computer in the house, and learned math on a computer program that my grandfather wrote for me. And, back then at that point in computers, freeware was a really, really big deal. And I'm still very much about supporting freeware creators.
Joining us here is Mike from Wookiee Radio. How you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you?
Good. Did you catch the question?
I did not.
What kind of editing software are you using to edit video and or music or add and or audio for your show?
Well, I'm audio only with my show. We don't
All
do,
three of them?
all three of them, believe it or not. Yeah, all three of them were audio only. So, yeah, for those who don't know, I actually run 4 shows. I do a show with my daughter as well.
Oh.
But she's the primary host in that show. But the 3 shows that I do full production on, we're just audio only.
Okay.
The question was, by the way, Mike. The question was, are you supporting the Montreal Canadiens or the
Tampa Bay Lightning?
Is that sports?
That's hockey, bro.
Bro, you can cancel out right now. You can just sort of back out and turn off your camera.
That's ice skates and goals, buddy.
There you go. 3 periods.
I'm actually supporting the Tampa Bay Lightning. I've got a good friend of mine who's on the equipment staff.
Oh,
Cool.
So I guess the question, what do we use? I use Studio One for recording because it's a multi-track DAW. They do have a free version, which I believe is called Artist. I can tell you here in a second.
Come prepared, damn it.
It's in here, mister.
Go Habs.
While he's looking that up, we use Audacity for all of our carving up our audio. If I have to do something in video, I usually use Movie Maker, the free parts of Movie Maker, because nothing that Microsoft makes is good enough to pay for. And then I always run all of our finished audio through Auphonic, which is a web-based program. It gets me to my 16 to 18 lufs. It levelizes my voice and Brady's voice or whoever we have on. Like when this comes out as an audio track, although Row comes in a little lower than everybody else, it'll all be the same level because it'll all break it down into subtracks, balance it out. It's like $12 a month. $12 a month, but it makes my job easier.
See, with me, I'm using Studio One Professional. The free version is called Studio One Prime. It still gives you the multi-track, but you're kind of limited on plugins that it comes with and what you could add to it. When I'm done recording, I'll do my mix down, and I do my mastering in SoundForge, where I'm using Ozone Elements plugin, which is a mastering plugin, and I go minus 14 lufs.
Okay.
Only because Apple is suggesting that with just vocal programs. But I use that and do my final mix down into to MP3, where I'm running currently mono 96K 44.1.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still pulling in for about an hour's worth of show, still around 40 megabyte file size.
Yeah.
Realistically, you don't need to go more than 96.
Yeah.
For a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It's talking heads. You don't need to do much more than that.
We're talking idiots in our case.
Does anybody else run their stuff through any kind of mastering stuff, or?
Not really.
No,
I think because it all, some of the outlets dumb it down anyway, so not a big deal for me.
Well, we host through Buzzsprout, and they have a mastering built in, but we don't use it. They charge more a month for it.
See, I'm also going to put out the disclaimer too, where I may have the edge on some of you guys.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to video, if I want to do some video stuff, I'll talk to Ro, because he's a video guy. That's his specialty. I'm an audio engineer.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm not using Studio One, I've got Vegas Video I could use. I could do it in SoundForge if I want to record in SoundForge. If I want to use Pro Tools, which there's no sense in using Pro Tools on the PC side. Really, there's no sense using Pro Tools on the Mac side either. I mean, Pro Tools is overkill. Same with Logic over on PC or Mac side as well. I mean, they're great programs, but I mean, I'm a audio software junkie. I'm an effects junkie as well. I think Andrew's the only one who hasn't been on my show yet. If I remember right, which we got to fix that, Andrew. And I know Big Lovin hasn't been on the show yet either. He left. But the rest of them will know. I do all my sound drops and whatnot in show as we're recording.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if I want to throw Chewbacca calling, there it is. I mean, I do everything live in show.
Or the awesome intro music. So, just saying.
Yeah. It is really good intro music.
Oh, thank you.
That's from the Quebec band, right?
Bodacton, yeah.
Go Habs.
That was Alex and Luke that actually put that together. So,
Okay,
nothing
cool.
like the Star Wars main title done on back.
Any of you guys, we've kind of touched on this a little bit, as far as having a video component for your show. How did you go about selecting a camera for your show, and then what did you kind of land on?
Yeah, I wish I had more time to do video stuff. But again, being a video guy, I've got the same camera that George Lucas used for episode 1. I'll use that. I got a Panasonic Vericam, an HDX 900. These are just the cameras that I have for stuff. Unfortunately, and because of that, I'm not too keen on buying prosumer cameras or going to Best Buy. Although, damn, the technology, I mean, some of these cameras at Best Buy for like $150 are really damn good. But like I said, I wish I had more time to do, YouTube stuff, because sometimes I'll get an idea and I'm like, oh, it'd be really cool to have Brad or Chantel do this. And then, it doesn't help that we're separated so far, away. Like if you got, like the guys at Salty Nerd Podcast, I mean, they're all in Vegas, they're all together, they hang out, they drink, they get drunk, they talk about shit. And that's a lot of fun. I wish we were all together. We will be on Saturday, everybody, but but like I said, I for this, I just got a Logitech, webcam. But I really wish that I was able to do or have more time really to do a lot more YouTube stuff, because again, I'm a camera guy and editor by trade, so I'd love to kind of do some of that. I still have footage from C2E2 and Star Wars Celebration and last year's ScarifCon that I still have yet to edit, so I just don't have the time.
It's going to be a master cut.
Yeah.
Me, for our YouTube channel, it's either the camera I'm using right now if I'm recording on this computer, or if you see me somewhere where I don't have a mic in front of my face, I'm using my iPhone.
By the way, it was Charles's turn.
Oh, sorry. Since I came in late, I'm
new.
Continue.
Sorry, Charles.
That's okay. Go for it. Continue.
That's it.
That was it, huh?
Yeah, I just use either my iPhone or my Logitech webcam.
Yeah. Well, no one wants to hear us on audio, let alone video, so we don't do any video at all.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I actually think Andrew and Marisha should totally do like a little two camera thing for their podcast. Your conversations are so amazing, and I love, there's no substitute to kind of looking at the person that is speaking to you. And I think you should really look into that, Andrew.
I'll have to look into that. Being on camera has been one of the challenges for me of this. I'm very much an introvert, and doing this podcast in general was part of me forcing myself out.
Sure.
And then in the last year, we also started doing video, and that was even more of a challenge. And of course, it gets easier as you do it, but it's for me, it was about making myself do that. And we probably will keep exploring new avenues with the video stuff as we do more on YouTube. But here I'm a camera guy as well, and I would love to have more time to do stuff with my good cameras. But it's just most of what we do. It's Logitech's kind of king when it comes to the cameras, the webcams, and a lot of variety, a lot of stuff for different budgets. But the Logitech's a good place to start if you're looking to do stuff on video. But don't ignore your phones, because it's pretty incredible. Mm-hmm. I never, as a camera guy, I never thought a phone would be able to do what a phone does now.
Mm. Yep, exactly.
All right, real quick, where did you guys decide to have your podcast hosted, and why did you pick where you're at?
So for Scarif, before Scarif, I had another podcast I think it was called Collecting Star Wars, and I think we did I did six episodes, and I hosted it on SoundCloud, and I don't know if I did a lot of research, but there's all sorts of obviously hosting sites and hosting places, but SoundCloud for me, when I started Scarif, was kind of an easy transition. I knew the workaround. I knew what was going on. I knew how to work it. I knew how to upload and download, and I knew where the fancy buttons were basically. So I just kind of stuck with SoundCloud. Although I know SoundCloud, there's a lot of musicians and vocal artists and things like that, but that's kind of where I stuck the podcast, and that's where it is.
For us, I had some experience in publishing our podcast through work. I had explored several different solutions, so I was taking notes as we went along. And as soon as I discovered Anchor and the platforms that they published to, for the cost that was involved, that was a no-brainer for us. And as soon as I found them, Anchor all the way.
Anchor's free, right?
Yes, it is. Yep. I mean,
Are there different levels of Anchor?
What's that?
Are there different levels of Anchor?
No, it's one tier, and
it's free.
If you publish to Anchor, your podcast is, unless you have the audio files yourself and you have them edited and everything, for the most part, they own that stream. They own that audio file because you're using their platform for free. So there's a trade-off there for the future, whatever. But I have been through 3 different iterations of RSS feeds through work, and the amount of work that it took to transfer from service to service, I would never explore that as a sort of fandom style podcast. So for me, Anchor is all the way, because guess what? We're just trying to get our voice out there and find people who love Star Wars and communicate with them and interact with them. For us, it was never about a situation where we could control everything that we own and republish it where we wanted to have. So Anchor was really, really the best solution for us.
That's an interesting point that you brought up. I did not know that about Anchor, and I know Andrew, as a photographer, there's a lot of people that have that concern. I think when Facebook's first came out, I think in the fine print somewhere in there it says whatever picture that you put on Facebook, because you're using Facebook, we own it, so we can use that in marketing, we can use that in promotions, we can use that however the hell we want. And a lot of people had a problem with it because a lot of professional photographers were putting their stuff on Facebook to share and this and that, and they didn't want that. So that's definitely something to kind of look into, especially if you're, if you want to control and own all your content. So that's an interesting point that I think is not talked about a lot. And I know, not all of us are doing this for the, fortune and fame, as they say in Indiana Jones. But it's certainly a topic that needs to be discussed.
Yeah, there's nothing for free. I mean, they get their stuff out there, and you have all their different subscriptions for the different services. But if you record and upload your audio files through Anchor, and you don't have the hard files downloaded to your computer, once your subscription is over, or you cancel your Anchor subscription, all that stuff is gone. So for our perspective, I have everything locally stored, and we have all of our master files. But even in that sense, if I did translate or transfer to a different service, I would have to re-upload all those episodes and restart an RSS stream to give all of our back catalog. So there's a trade-off for sure, but it depends on what you're trying to do with your show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we went with Podbean when we started, and we're still with them. As far as what they offer for the money, I think we pay about $110 a year. And of course, we're using freeware everywhere on all of our recordings. So that's really the one place we're putting money is in our hosting. Made it super easy to get our podcast everywhere. I mean, there's very few places that you can go and not find our show, and it was all pretty effortless to get that done with Podbean. And It's completely unlimited audio, and we've had no complaints with them at all.
Well, how much are you paying for unlimited audio, though?
I think it's $108 a year.
Okay. Because when I looked at it, it seemed a little pricey for unlimited audio.
The thing is, when you look at a lot of the others, they don't actually offer. You'll pay about the same amount or a little bit less, but you're not getting unlimited audio. Some of them do, but a lot of them are not unlimited. A lot of them allow you to publish, an hour or two a week.
Okay. See, when I was looking at, now I self-host.
Okay.
I actually do everything through HostGator.
You'll go blind.
Drop all my audio through HostGator. As Rove drops. So I know it's a little more risky than the others, but I looked at it the way Charles brought up concern. I control all my content. I control where it goes, how it goes, etc. I don't have someone owning my content. It's all me. I was looking for a while at other services like Blueberry, like Podbean, like Libsyn, and to get a similar plan to what I'm having now, I pay $14 a month for practically unlimited domains, and I've got unlimited storage, unlimited bandwidth with them. And of course, I run my network off of there as well. My network website, and I have some people who I host their shows on my server. But to do the same type of thing at all the others, I was looking at something like $120 a month to be able to do the same type of thing on their service. I'm like, no, $14 a month, I'm okay with this. Now, if I get to a point where I need to go to a dedicated server with them, which I don't honestly ever see happening anytime in the near future, I'll be looking at big bucks for that. But that whatever server I'm on, I'm not sharing with 5 other people like I am currently. So,
we use Buzzsprout. I think it runs about $20 a month. I've got unlimited storage and bandwidth. The thing that I liked about Buzzsprout was once I've paid for it, it will continue to exist in perpetuity. So everything that I've uploaded, 68 episodes so far, if we stop doing the show tomorrow, 10 years from now, you'll be able to go out and the RSS feed is supposed to still exist.
Yep.
So that was kind of one of the main selling points. Plus, they have really good analytics and, a lot of background learning stuff that they do that a lot of the other networks don't do. They have a podcast that you can listen to that feeds you all kind of cool information. Like it's just a pretty decent platform, reliable, and like I said, the stuff exists out there in the ether, supposedly forever. It's worth a couple extra bucks, I think. But that's us.
That brings up a great point where if you're just doing it for getting your voice out there, it doesn't matter what you're paying for it. If it's free, if it's a first tier, second tier, if you have the passion for it and you have the cash to do it, great. You can for our perspective, the analytics aren't the greatest with Anchor, so you get a certain base of that, and then you get an understanding of what your audience is doing. But for us, it's just about fun, and you can literally start a podcast with $0 investment using your computer's mic, saving it there and publishing it through Anchor. You can get, an audience for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to get more into it and you've got a gumption to do more with it, you can spend the money for it and build that audience even greater with greater tools.
Yeah. See, I wish I was able to get on earlier because just the learning or growing pains that we went through I mean, We Be Geeks will be 9 years old in November.
Wow.
We record episode 400 this week.
Jeez.
A hell of
Wow.
an accomplishment.
Damn.
Mighty Marvel Geeks will be 8 years old in November. And tomorrow night, we will be recording episode 345. And then tonight is be recording, as soon as I get off with you guys, Wookiee Radio, which will be 4 years old. Started what? 26. Be 5 years old at the end of this month. And we're recording episode 220 of Wookiee Radio tonight.
Yeah, I'm sure that you've learned quite a bit. I know we have.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, and a lot of the audio stuff, like I said, came easy for me being an audio engineer, having been in the industry now 33 plus years, with 23 of that at Walt Disney World. But it's there's still other things out there, and it's opened up the door for other avenues as well. With when it comes to gear, I'm a gear junkie as well. How can you not be an industry professional and not be a gear junkie for your discipline? Microphones, oh my god, I won't tell you how many USB and regular microphones, how many I've got sitting around, and I'm already looking at, okay, do I get a Pelican case or do I get an SKB case for my microphones? And
Pelican, always go with Pelican.
and
Andrew's gone.
Yeah, that sounds like a man who does that for a living.
Looking for home for microphones, SKB's is actually got a microphone locker that is probably better than what Pelican offers in the weatherproof type casing for microphones. Now
but is it bulletproof? I don't think so. You have to, living in Chicago, your microphones have to be, you're protected from stray bullets.
If I'm going to use a microphone to record remotely in Chicago, I'm bringing an SM57 because that holds up to everything.
All right, my last big question for tonight, guys, is how do you find an audience? How do you advertise? How do you funnel people into watching your show?
Man, that is, we can spend another 2 hours on that alone.
A brief. Let's go. Let's keep it tight.
I want to credit my wonderful partner in crime, Brad, for starting. We had 200 followers even before we had our first show, and months before he teased and he posted and he asked people to join and follow and all that stuff. And for a while, we were getting 200 followers every month in our first year, which I'm like looking at these numbers like, damn, this is like fast growing. So I don't know. I mean, there's certain posts that he does. Just recently, the one post that he created about which Star Wars is the Star Wars that you most relate to.
Oh my god, that thing blew up.
Yeah, I mean, people from Lucasfilm Archiving saw it and responded to it. Matt Marting from the story group, looked at it, responded to it. I mean, it's in the six figures as far as reach. Wow. So you really don't know.
I would like to hire this Brad person.
Yeah, right. But I think my philosophy is just be true to yourself. Have some fun posts that people like to interact with, because I think, that call to action, whatever that may be for your particular brand or channel, is what is bringing people to your channel, is what is attracting people to interact with you. And I think the key is interaction. You want to ask a question, you want to post post an idea and have people weigh in. And especially with Scarif, we love discussion. We love talking about, what do you like? What don't you like? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And that gets kind of like the brain going, which allows, allows your followership to just kind of grow. But it's all about interaction. I think you can't post one thing and just say, this is it. Okay, see you later. You have to kind of follow up. You have to kind of engage your audience that's reading that, with a question. We love hashtags, and I think one of the great things for us is when we create all these wonderful little hashtags, because people start to remember that. Oh, we are Red 5. I've seen that over here. I've seen that over there. They're part of the Red 5 network. Cool. Okay, let's check them out. So all of those little things kind of add up to familiarity, brand recognition, interaction with followers and listeners to the show. And I think that really helps. I think that really, helps your brand. And that's really on the main on the surface level. There's a lot of stuff that you need to do, in addition to that, with analytics and understanding the numbers, and whatever you host, should be able to get at least some sort of email that gives you kind of some rudimentary numbers of where these ears are coming from, and then maybe tailor it for certain regions. For some reason, we get a lot of listeners from Spain and Australia and Canada, so I don't know. Sure, yeah, it's hilarious, Charles. I don't know what's so funny. You just have to. I think you just have to be creative with your posts and your strategy. I don't know if there's a science behind it. I guess there is, but
hire Brad.
Yeah, hire Brad. But one of the cool things for us is we've learned through experience, and I think those types of lessons are probably worth a lot more than just reading a pamphlet or watching a YouTube video, because you've got that experience, that real world experience under your belt. And I think that's worth a lot more to me, as far as I'm concerned.
For us, as we talked about way back at the start of this episode, was the, just living Star Wars day by day. And Pat will send me pictures of Black Series figures that he set up, or a license plate, or it doesn't matter how remotely Star Wars relevant it is. We'll send each other pictures and memes that respond to us, and then if it's relevant for us, we publish it on our channel. And it's not about necessarily the engagement, and I totally get what Ro was talking about, where if you pose a question or if you're trying to interact with the community, you have to be there to respond to it. We posted a couple of weeks ago our Ralph McQuarrie question, and it was from our perspective at least, not 6 figures. Sorry, Ro. Oh, can all be like you? But we were tracking in the 4 figures about Ralph McQuarrie and his influence on Star Wars. So it took a good day of me, for the most part, responding to the Twitter responses to it, and whether it be Instagram or Facebook, and building an audience and giving us content for our shows. But we'll jump in every 1 day or 2 days, post something. It's not necessarily about if your post is going to resonate and hit the massive marks each day. It's about being active and about being present in the community. And for us, hey, if our Black Series recreations of a episode of Rebels, and it's 4 or 5 figures that we purchased and we put them together, and we spent 16 hours putting together, we put it up there. If we get 6 likes or 15,000 likes, doesn't matter. It's about being present in the community. And we'll see regularly where someone has gone back, literally, we saw it last week, 2 years, they'd gone back to a post that we posted on Instagram and liked a photo that we posted 2 years ago. And I'm like, wow, I didn't even know that was still up there. But it's just about being present and showing our passion for the franchise, whether it be Star Wars or geek, it doesn't matter what it is. As long as you're present in the community, you're showing your passion and enjoyment of the franchise, someone will find it and they'll eventually follow you, because you can see that clearly through your posts.
As far as the social media stuff, I'm pretty terrible at it, but we are seeing a lot of growth in our social media and in our interactions. If I could figure out how to turn those into listens on the podcast, that'd be amazing. If anybody figures that out, let me know.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just about being there and being consistent, just putting things up and interacting, and sometimes it's about clicking through. Sometimes if you scroll through, you'll see a lot of people in the Star Wars Twitter community that post things, and they're interesting, they're funny, they're fun. And because there's so much Star Wars Twitter, a lot of stuff just is white noise. It's kind of the same thing about being a Star Wars podcast. There's just a lot of white noise. And I try to just go through and make sure that I don't just scroll past things that I like without clicking that button and interacting. Because it's a lot of times things that are fine on there just never get seen because, or if they don't get those likes, things that don't get likes on Twitter fall off their map real fast.
Real fast.
Yeah.
You can always retweet your own stuff and like your own stuff, like Rachel.
It works.
It works.
It does.
Totally.
It does.
It expands.
But like 3 seconds later, damn girl.
Or you can put your face in everything. That's another way of doing it too.
No.
Well, I heard part of the key is if you
Bring on a hot girl to your show.
Yes. Totally.
That's what we need is a hot girl in our show.
That really helps.
Yep.
So
but no,
Look at the ladies of Force of Light Entertainment skyrocketed. Woo!
Yep.
Gone.
I will openly admit I'm a social media idiot. I try and do different things. I try and do the hashtags. In the Star Wars community, I will say Wookiee Radio. I get a lot of response back with the Wookiee Radio Twitter. Marvel Weeby Geeks. So. But I look at my RSS feeds. I'm pulling in over 50,000 hits to the RSS feed a month. So, doing something right. I mean, because right now, that's the only numbers I truly look at, my RSS hits. Because, I use PodTrack, I use Blueberry. Mostly are using the exact same program, same algorithms. And I got one telling me, oh, you had 210 downloads. And I got the other one telling me, oh, you only got 117 the same episode.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I've worked my website enough. I've got bot killers set on the PHPs for the site that runs my my network where my feeds are generated from for the shows. I've been told with the amount of bandwidth that the site pulls a month and the number and the RSS numbers, those are pretty accurate to what I'm pulling in listen wise, or at least clicks. And truly, when you go to a convention or you try and get a sponsor or anything else, they want to know more clicks more than how many actual subscribers or listens you want. They don't really care about that. They want to know how many clicks a month you get. So now with the social media side of things, I try. I don't know about you guys. Anytime I've tried to do a contest,
Yeah, we had that response too.
Yeah, we did one contest and that was just egg on our face.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had some contests where we gave away like $300 worth of prizes, and I had 7 people.
Yeah.
It's weird how we also found that it's really difficult to give shit away. I mean, we had to beg people to take the dark sabers that we gave away. We finally gave them away, but it's like, geez, people.
Yep. I don't know about you guys, but I frequent quite a few other podcast pages on Facebook just to try and get ideas for promotions or social media or whatnot, which they're about as useless as a as a dried up prostitute in Chicago, but
Wait a minute. I resent that, Mike.
Yeah, their prostitutes aren't dry.
Yeah. I mean, even the dry ones are pretty useful. So just relax, okay? Back off, pal.
It's localized. I love it.
Yeah. What you meant to say, it's as useless as subtitles on pornography. That's what you meant.
Or a screen door on a submarine.
that too, or a hurricane prepping a theme park that for a hurricane it's not coming by. But it's I don't know. We just derailed so much. I forgot my train of thought. I think the whole thing about trying to do giveaways or whatnot, the podcast pages. I asked, what do y'all do with giveaways? I mean, how do you get people? Oh, we just do a post that say like or light. I'm like, really? You're giving away, say, a $500 service for your podcast coaching and the book and everything else. And all you do is you want people to say like. You're not going to. I mean, $300. If I'm going to do one of these rafflecopter things, go follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. I mean, is it? You got 5-10 days to do this thing. Is it? I don't know. Maybe it is the way I'm thinking. Is it really that hard to go out and just go? Yeah, I want at least one entry. Let me go follow you on Twitter in 5-10 seconds out of your way and done.
Yeah, I found the same thing.
Well, like this post and it's an automatic entry.
Yeah, it's for some reason it's incredibly difficult for people to just click a damn button.
Yeah.
Like the like button on this video.
I want to wait. I don't have time to do the like button for this video.
Right.
That's
I've listened to it for 45 minutes, but I can't click like.
Right.
I mean, for me, I don't know. I do the contest to try and get listener engagement. Obviously, I got the listeners. My numbers show it. I want the engagement.
Right.
I want to have conversations with people, not just other Star Wars podcasters. I want conversations with people. That's why I love people like Anthony. Anthony's great, rural farm boy. There's been quite a few others, and I apologize to you guys for not knowing your names off the top of my head at the moment. But I mean, the interaction I get in the Star Wars Twitter community has been awesome. It really is. Oh, there's another guy that's real big on pushing a lot of shows, and I believe pushes a lot of our shows. Of everyone here is Ryan out of the UK.
Ryan Bullock, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, big shout out to him. I mean, he's a great guy. So, yeah.
Jess in the chat brings up an interesting point. He is in marketing. That's his profession. He says contests suck for marketing until you hit a critical mass of interactions. So you already have to have an established, large established fan base to get the kind of churn that makes doing a contest or a giveaway worthwhile in the first place.
So, Ro, can I borrow Chantel in her Catwoman outfit for our next contest?
Go for it.
I think that'll hit critical mass.
Yep.
Well, what we've done in the past is
she's close to Charles and I.
there you go. Yeah, we're just across 3 or 4 hours across the state.
That's right.
We've done 2 giveaways which were successful, but they were not tied to anything that was driven by likes or interaction. We just took our listener base within Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, tallied up all the users and the followers, and just gave away stuff. And
nice.
For both of them, we just gave away, whether it was 3D printed or a sticker, we just gave it away. And in both cases, 2 out of 3 channels responded with, "Hey, I'd love to take your stuff." And we just didn't tie it to anything. We just hit a milestone. And, hey, we just hit 1,000 followers. We just want to give away stickers, or it was May the 4th of 2020 of last year. We want to give away some Beskar, and we just tagged it with our Conversations logo on the back, May the 4th on the front, and gave it away. And 2 out of the 3 took it. So it doesn't,
And that's the cool thing about those types of giveaways, because they're genuine and they're not tied to, give us a follow or give us a 5-star review or this and that. I think people don't have, unfortunately, people don't have time to go to iTunes and log in and, I love this podcast. What should I say? What do I think of? I think, and hopefully you saw some growth from that, because like I said, it is genuine and people discovered you. They have something that you gave them. I mean, even the silly stickers that we give out, I think help because it's, it's at the, the forefront of people's thought process.
And we've had, re-mentions of those people who did quote unquote win the giveaways. A couple of mentions like, they'll retweet our stuff, or they'll say, hey, these guys are great guys.
Right.
Yeah, that's where the value comes into it. We're still going to spend the shipping. We're still going to spend the time to make it, or whatever it's going to be. But we just don't necessarily tie it to an action. And like we just really recently hit 5,000 listens or downloads and listens, whatever, to the podcast. So we got another giveaway coming up soon. But we're just going to tally up all of our listeners, do a random, Google number generator, and just choose one of our people. Hey, you just won this. Do you want to have it? And if they don't respond, they don't respond. And I get that. Like you said, Ro, you have Dark Sabers, which is like a $35 a toy. I don't get it. If someone doesn't want to have it, well, give it to us, which you didn't give it to us, or you give it to someone else. But it's about just building that brand in the community.
Funny story about one of the Dark Sabers. So we announced on the podcast who won it. The 2 people that won, the first person never responded. We realized, okay, they don't listen to the pod. We put it out there. We tagged that person. We said, hey, you won. They finally DM'd us and responded and said, okay, cool, here's my address. The next day, for whatever reason, they unfollowed us. What the hell? So we're like, you know what? Great. We're going to conveniently lose your address, pal, and give it to somebody else. So,
hell yeah, that's what I would have done.
That's kind of weird.
For Mighty Marvel Geeks, we got, like I said, we got episode 350 coming up in about 5 weeks. I've got, we all, the 3 of us on the show got a copy of the book, The Wakanda Files. It's an amazing book.
Nice.
Amazing book. And then I also have 2 is Ant-Man and Wasp Funko keychains. Little sweet that we're going to give away. I may, when we're in the park, may buy a Marvel mask, face mask, which even though face masks are slowly going away, it's a Disney collector item. May throw that in with it as well. Something from the parks. Because there's a Black Panther mask that's only available at the parks. So I may get that add to this package to go with the Wakanda Files book.
Now I want it.
What I'm thinking about is right over left. What I'm thinking about is, what Charles was talking about. Everyone who follows Mighty Marvel Geeks automatically entered. What I may do is anyone who retweets that episode when I drop it on the Mighty Marvel, not the Weeby Geeks Twitter, but the actual Mighty Marvel Geeks post. Those will be bonus entries for those people who retweet. So, and then just spin the wheel and go. And whoever wins, I'll notify them and give them 48 hours. Don't hear it, go to spin again, go to the next person.
Yeah.
I like it.
So, but unfortunately, guys, I gotta sign off because I got to meet up with the rest of the Smugglers 3 because we're about to record Wookiee Radio.
Excellent.
Well, that's perfect timing because I was just getting ready to close this out.
Perfect. I mean, I would love to talk more. I know y'all probably went in depth about happiness.
We're an hour and 2 hours and 30 in. So.
Yeah.
I'm sure doing that, you guys and I can have just a conversation alone, coming from professional aspects.
Ro's been wanting to do that for a while now.
Well, yeah,
See, I would love to go like a pro workshop type thing with podcast. Ro with the video side, me with the audio side. I mean, we can sit down and break down microphones, break down cameras, break down video software, audio software. Because I know you guys love Audacity. I got issues with Audacity, but as for me, it's a whole other ball game, and it's again the pro of me. I mean, we got some stuff at work, and I've seen a lot of the quirks that Audacity does that bug me, and there's some people at work. Well, it was free. We got it to load on our work computer, so this is what we're using. But, all right, cool. Now we're having problems with levels on sound bites that we need for shows. But well. So I will bow out now. Thank you guys for letting me on for the little bit that I was on.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming, Mike.
Thanks for joining us, man.
And for the rest of you guys, we'll see you guys in Twitterverse and YouTube and Facebook and wherever else we bump into each other.
Absolutely. This was a really good 2.5 hours spent.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Thanks guys. We really appreciate it. It was a good talk. All right. We'll see you guys.
See ya.
All right.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Well, there it was.
How to make a podcast, bitch.
How to make a podcast. If you can't make a podcast off of what you just learned, you might want to rewind it and do it again.
Yeah, you need to.
But after 10 hours, you should have it figured out.
Yeah, so you just gotta watch it 3 or 4 times. You'll be good.
But it's definitely easier than you thought and more nuanced than you thought.
Yeah, you can make it better. You can make it worse. But
Yep.
I actually think you can't make it worse, man. You're always going uphill.
Yep. And
You're always going to the promised land.
the real important thing is that you make it.
Yes. And you will make it. If you believe in it and you want to do it, you can do it.
Right. Even if it's just you sitting in a closet with an iPhone, that's a show.
Dude, our beginnings were in a kitchen.
Yep. We did it in the kitchen
Hell yeah.
with a tripod and an iPhone.
Yep.
And you could do it with less.
Yep.
Backyard TARDIS shoots video in the back of his work van.
There you go.
And it's a fantastic show.
There you go. Yeah.
Since I brought it up, look up Backyard TARDIS on YouTube. It's a good show.
Yes.
But everybody make sure that you take the time to like this video, as we always ask. And if you don't like this video, I want you to hit the unlike button twice just to make sure that we know you didn't like it.
Yes. I like it.
Yeah, mash the button twice if you didn't like it.
Yeah.
Give us a review on iTunes. Love us or hate us. It really helps people find the show and lets us know what you think of what we're doing here. Make sure that you subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. Reach out to Brady's wife and apologize for having him here so late.
Yes. This is all your guys' fault.
Brady, tell these guys where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at lowercase o0 capital BIG _capital LOVIN 0 lowercase o. And once again, that's on Instagram and Twitter. Don, tell them where they can find you, buddy.
You can always find me at Jetfire1979 on Twitter, and I'm DellaSnooch on Instagram. And you can find us and other great podcasts on red5network.com.
Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you next time.
May the force be with you.
And go blue.
Go blue.
Woo, clinkety clank, bitch. I can't even finish that. I got to pee so bad. There was no mid-show pee break. There was no commercial. Oh, my God.
This podcast is part of the Red 5 Network. For more Red 5 Network podcasts, visit red5network.com.